What's going on, you guys? Kenny Tunison here. Welcome back to my channel. Now, today's video is episode 1, or I should say part 1 of my Building the Classic Physique series. And as always, the most important muscle of the human male body is going to be the chest. Okay, so part 1 is going to be all about chest, what I have done to build my chest here. It's about 47 and a half inches, 47.6. It was 48 and a quarter, but decided to cut down for the summer. So has shrunken a little bit, but not as much as I thought it would have. But that's beside the point. You guys want to hear how I built it. So let's get right into it. Now, the first workout I will discuss is going to be the flat bench press. Nothing fancy here, all right? It's just a bare bones flat bench press. You can do barbell, you can do dumbbell. I've been doing dumbbell lately because the barbell kind of hurts my wrists a little bit, and I have more of a free motion with the dumbbells. So that's what I've been doing, but it really doesn't matter. Whatever you have access to or like doing. Now, the main thing here is to leave your ego at the door, all right? I know you guys don't want to hear it, and I used to be one of those guys that used to think like, oh, just throwing the weight around, it's going to build more muscle, but it's not really going to do that. All right. And even if it does build slightly more muscle, or there's no difference between controlling the weight and moving the weight, if you're just throwing weight around, all right, and you're not really caring too much about form or the slower eccentrics, guess what? Your joints are going to be banged up, all right, and you're not going to be able to lift for a long period of time in your life. And I don't know about you, but I want to lift for a very long time. I want to lift until I'm in my 50s, maybe even 60s. Hell, I want to work out, lift weights until, as long as possible. Okay, as long as it allows me to, as long as my body allows me to. So what am I going to do about that to make that happen? I'm going to train smart now. All right, that's my opinion on that. But leave your ego at the door here. Nobody cares how much weight you're lifting. Let's be honest here. All right. What you should care about is getting the most out of the muscle that you're working. So in this case, the chest. All right. The flat dumbbell bench press or barbell bench press. Get a very deep stretch. All right. Control the weight on the negative on the way down, and then kind of explode up, not too quickly, but control the weight on the way up as well. All right. And I've noticed that when I get a very deep stretch, almost like I'm dropping the dumbbells into my armpits and then going up, that's where I feel the best and where I see the best results. Quite a few guys think that if you're laying flat on the bench with no arch, that's better for bodybuilding, but it's not. All right, you still want to have a slight arch. That way you can really retract your scapula, your upper back, and your shoulders can kind of just stay locked into place, and you can have your chest do pretty much all the work, right? That's what you want. You're working the chest. You want your chest to do all the hard work there. You don't want your shoulders to kind of take over. Now, when it comes to sets and reps for the dumbbell flat bench press, I'm doing this twice per week, and I'm doing 3 working sets. All right, of course, on 2 separate days, Monday and Thursday. All right, just so I get enough rest between, but 3 working sets, and I always usually do 2 warm-up sets before I hop into my working set weight. And the rep range, I'm always trying to get at least more than 8 reps. Okay, even on the 3rd set, I might drop down 10 pounds, maybe 20 pounds, and I might go for 12, 13 reps, really as many as possible. The rep range doesn't really matter as long as I'm getting more than 8. I really just want to focus on training to failure with the proper form. Okay, now the second chest workout is going to be the dumbbell incline bench press. And this is pretty much the same story as the one I just talked about, as the flat dumbbell bench press. Same exact thing. The angle that I have the bench at is not 45. It's a little lower. It's probably more like a 35. All I know is that it's the first adjustment on this rep bench I have here. But I don't really like doing a 45-degree angle. I just feel like it's too steep and my shoulders are doing too much of the work. So the 35, it works fine for me. But like I just said, it's the same story as the flat dumbbell bench press. I'll do about one warm-up set since I'm pretty warmed up after doing the flat version, and then I'll hop into 3 working sets, same rep ranges, okay, 3 working sets, and I'm also doing this twice per week. One thing that I will say about the dumbbell incline bench press is that you don't want your arch to get too big and you don't want your butt to get off that crease in the bench, okay? Because when you go too far out, it's kind of turning into a flat bench press, which is what we already did. All right, you still want to keep that incline. So how do we do that? We got to keep our butt really tucked into that crease right up against the bench. Okay, the third and final chest movement that I do is going to be the dip. And I only do these body weight at the moment. I don't add any weight because I've tweaked my technique for these so that it's much more difficult. All right, and you guys are probably like, what are you talking about? All right, dips are easy. You should at least be doing, dips with like a 45-pound plate strapped to your waist. And I can do dips with a 45 plate strapped to my waist. I can actually do dips with 2 45 plates strapped to my waist. But that's when I'm doing them the easy way. And that's when you're kicking your legs behind you and you're really angling yourself forward. And of course, the legs behind you, like I just said. When you actually try to keep your legs under you the whole time you're doing dips, it makes the movement that much more difficult. And I believe, my personal opinion, all right, you guys can disagree with this, I believe that it attacks the chest that much more when you do it like that. It's that much more effective at building the chest. Now, sets for this are a little different. Okay, I'm usually doing 3 to 4 working sets. Sometimes I'll do 5 because it's a body weight movement and I'm really just trying to exhaust the chest. I'll treat it the same way I treat my pull-ups, and I'll just do maybe, a few extra sets just to exhaust it. And it's also the last movement I do for my chest on my upper day. So I'm just really trying to get the most out of it. So sometimes I'll do 3 sets, maybe I'll do 4 another day, maybe I'll do 6 on one day. It just depends how I'm feeling. All right, if I'm really feeling it, if I'm feeling pumped up, I'll do a bunch of sets. All right, it's all about how you feel. But guys, that's all I got for you today. All right, chest twice a week in that format I just laid out. Pretty simple, pretty bare bones, but it's not about what you do, it's about how you do it. All right, quality over quantity. But guys, I will see you for part 2 for back. All right, it's going to be a good one. All right, I got a lot of little golden tidbits I can share for back day, so you're not going to want to miss that. But as always, God bless. I will see you next time.